What's up?
Hey guys.
This is actually our second take. The reason being is we recorded another video earlier, and for some odd reason it decided to corrupt itself.
It went dead.
So we're reshooting our video, which might be a good thing.
It deaded itself.
So, I'm Jared. This is David.
Anyway, let's go do a quick run through of the material that we laid out in the 30-minute video and see if we can condense this down. First off, if I remember correctly, the big story that I saw this week that tickled my fancy was the 3D printer and what it can do with Minecraft. The fact that you might be able to design things in Minecraft and actually have a model of your material printed out that you can actually have and see. I mean, just imagine the implications of that. Even from an architectural standpoint, I mean, could you do something like a rough draft of something in Minecraft and actually test it out in cube form before you? I mean, it's a great creative palette to work with.
It's a very good possibility, and considering the fact that it's way cheaper than AutoCAD.
Mm-hmm. yeah, I'm sure.
So it'd be nice to see what people are capable of doing with it, and maybe something we could at one point in our lives ever take a look at.
And to hit back at the joke that we made in the last one, unfortunately, I don't think either of us have anything that we would feel is worthy of being reborn in the 4D space, because when it comes to us, we're content with making very large towers everywhere. I don't know what that says about us.
Compensating, I promise you.
I'm sure that's what most people do in Minecraft.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they must be compensating because they build giant towers of death.
I think my favorite activity in Minecraft, though, is spelunking.
Mine too.
I love spelunking and exploring the caverns.
And especially since they did the cavern update, back, I think, 2 updates ago. If you can find an area where the Earth's opened up and there's a cavern, go for it.
It's great stuff.
Build a giant tower and just jump right in.
Go right in. Dig down. It's absolutely fantastic. The other big thing we talked about was the book. Unfortunately, I don't have it on me right now. I'm carefully reading News Games by Simon Ferrari. Great guy. He actually is one of those writers that will talk to you. If you find him on a social platform, he has haunted Google Buzz for a while, and now he's on Google Plus. For any of you guys out there who are lucky enough to actually be on Google Plus right now, if you can find him, he's terrific. In fact, I asked him a question about his book, and the basic idea is that games could save the journalism industry, because in some facets, all journalism has done has tried to transfer the classical print medium into an electronic format.
And it's very important that they've done that, considering the generations that are now growing up, our generation and the generations that are younger than us now, where you don't have the older folks that just pick up the newspaper anymore. It's come down to, what can I read that's on my Kindle or my Nook? And we love Kindle, by the way. But
send us one, please. We'll review it.
But I think it just comes down to the fact that at least journalists are starting to realize that they've got to grow with the time, too. And in order to do that, everything has to be electronic in some form. And if that means having to create a game to get the point of news across...
And the thing is one of their primary arguments is that a game can also explore news from a more intricate and immersive perspective. Like the big thing they talk about in the beginning of the book is Wired's infographic about Somali piracy, the article that went with it, and the game where you actually get to be a Somali pirate, where you're pirating around the coastline, trying to decide what ships to board, what supplies to take. You finance the operation, you negotiate the actual ransom, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that you don't normally think about when you're reading just a standard news article.
Now, granted, this could raise some ethical complications, because I also heard that there was one game, I guess, that they were working on where you shoot JFK.
Believe it or not, I neglected to mention this in the last take. The game where you shoot JFK, I actually think it's a couple of years old. It's been around for a while. It's kind of it's not new, but you see things cropping up like that all the time. But another one of the things they talk about was the Columbine shooting RPG.
Definitely an ethical issue there.
Yeah, I'm anxious to get to that chapter because I want to know what they have to say about it. Anyway,
I think that would be a little too over the top, but we'll skip that one.
I'm reading that book, and the further I get into it, the more I kind of like to keep talking about it, because, again, Simon actually answered a question I had about Far Cry 2 potentially being a news game, and he wrote a chapter of his thesis about Far Cry 2, which I really want to get my hands on. Anyway, shout out Simon Ferrari, great guy, really, really cool guy.
It's good for that.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, this video we're going to have to cut short. We don't have a lot of time today. So we wanted to just make sure we got one out this week. Next week, we should be back to our regular rigmarole.
At some point over the next couple of days, just a quick shout out to the Yogscast. I'm going to film an audition. I want to play some of the voices they have in their current Shadow of Israfel series. So it's not solicited or anything, but I'm definitely going to see if I can get some attention, because if you haven't seen the Yogscast, we've talked about them a lot here.
We'll post them
They're
down below.
fantastic. They're fantastic, great guys. Probably some of the most creative filmmakers I've seen on YouTube.
The only plug I'm going to do, he is going to send his audition in. The only plug I'm going to do is that eventually, our hope is to kind of do a little bit of a collaboration with the Yogscast crew.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. We're going to try to discuss that out with them.
Just being noticed by them would be a great triumph in my book.
At least for us. But anyway, hate to cut it short, guys, but peace, love, rock and roll, and see you guys next week.